Balak, the weekly Torah portion. The article says, Bilaam introduces Bilaam, the prophet of the nation. It says, God in his wisdom ordained that the Gentile nations should have a prophet who would be comparable to Moshe, though much inferior to him, so that they would not be able to contend, that if only they would have had somebody who could communicate to them the will of God, they would have been as righteous as Israel. That's the Ramban. Bilaam was that prophet. This parsha revolves around the ability to curse and his attempts, commissioned by King Balak of Moab, to curse the advancing nation of Israel. The sages teach that there is an instant every day. We learn this in the Gemara Brachot. There is an instant every day when God is angry, meaning that God judges sinners at that time. Clearly, someone who is guilty of transgressions is most vulnerable at that instant, and it was Bilaam's talent to know when that moment was at hand. A curse at that time could subject its victim to such divine judgment. Balak hired Bilaam to curse Israel, but Hashem thwarted his plan by not sitting in judgment on that day. The parasha tells of Bilaam's repeated futile attempts and Hashem's insistence that he bless Israel. So significant were these blessings that the sages even considered making them part of the daily Shema prayers. God wanted these sublime blessings to come to Israel through the agency of the wicked and immoral Bilaam, so that all the world would know that everyone is helpless to harm Israel against Hashem's will. So now we get to that's the introduction. Now we get to the parsha. Vayar Balak ben Zippor. So Balak, the son of Zippor, saw. Rashi says, what did he see? What does it mean he saw? It means that he understood. Because he can't see anything, right? No, to see it, I'm looking at you. I see something. We saw that in also, you're correct. We saw that with Avimelech. Avimelech saw that she was his wife, that they were playing. Right, he understood. So here, it's actually, the Zohar also brings this down. The few times I looked at the Zohar, I remember this is Vayar, and this is that he understood. Understood. It's a matter of, I see, like we said.
In your mind, you're seeing something. You already have this inspiration.
You have a perception. Right, you have a perception. So Rashi will say further, Amar, he said, Elu shnei malachim shaynu betuchim aleihem. Oh, I'm sorry, let me finish the passage. So Vayar Balak ben Zippor, so Balak, the son of Zippor, saw, Eid kol asher saw Yisrael Amori, all that Israel did to the Amorites. So Rashi says, Amar, he said, Elu shnei malachim, these two kings, shahayinu betuchim aleihem, that we put all our trust into, that they were going to protect us. Lo amdu bifneihem, they could not stand before the Jews. Anu al achad kama. So if we were relying upon the two kings, these two kingdoms to protect us, and they couldn't withstand the Jewish people, all the more so the Moabites cannot. Lefichach, and that's why the next verse will say, Vayagar Moab. And Moab was very frightened. And Rashi identifies Vayagar Lashem Mora. Okay? So now, next pasuk. Vayagar Moab. So Moab was, again, they were frightened. Very frightened because of the nation. Kiravhu, because they were many. Vayakatz Moab. And Moab became disgusted. Mipnei b'nei Israel, before b'nei Israel. So what does it mean they were disgusted? Rashi says, Vayikatz Moab katz b'chayeihem. They were disgusted in their lives. Okay? Here, by the way, what's really going on is, if you think about it, they were numerous, and so here they are by the border. Remember, you have 3 million people at your border. Imagine, if you will, here we have the United States of America, where we have a couple of billion people there. How many billion people do we have? 3 billion, something like that. I think we have 1 billion people in the United States.
No.
We have 3 billion or something like that.
350 million.
350 million? Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought we had 1 billion. So, okay, 350 million. Now imagine if you had 3 million people on your border having a party. Having a party, just sitting there at your border. You don't think you'd be upset? We're afraid of a couple of Mexicans running over the border. Okay, not 3 million. And here you have approximately 3 million at your border. And you're a small nation. You were relying upon the other people. You're very afraid, and now you're thinking what's going to happen. They knew that Bnei Israel was not going to attack them because that wasn't the territory they were taking over. But they felt that even if the people just walked through Moab, they would destroy everything too, because 3 million people. I have people, well, I won't say what I have, but we all know that when everybody's walking across our grass, again, if I have 3 million people doing that, or a lot of people suddenly camping out by my borders, then I'm afraid they're going to ruin my land, my resource, and everything else. So I have to take precautions. So it wasn't an abnormal type of thing that Balak saw. He understood, and that's why they were afraid. I mean, it's a logical type of fear. So what happens? What happens after that is not a logical thing, but the fear, the trepidation was a logical trepidation. Vayomer Moab, El Ziknei Midian. So here Moab, the people of Moab, talked to the elders of Midian. And why? So Rashi says, Halo me'olam hayusonim zezeh. Surely Moab and Midian hate each other. They were constant enemies. How do we know? Shnema is, as it says, Hamakeb Midian b'stei Moab, because the Midianites were struck in the fields of Moab. So they were constantly having wars. Shabbat, and then again, Shabbat Midian al Moab and Milchama. Midian came upon Moab in war. So if that's the case, why are they now having a discussion? Ella miratan shal Yisrael asu shalom b'neihem. But from the fear of Israel, they made peace amongst each other. The famous statement of, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Umar Ra'ah Moab told Eitzim Midian. And now what did Moab see? That they should take advice from their enemies, the Midianites? Kevan Shira'a. Okay. Kevan Shira'a. I lost it. See, that's what I get for looking at the telephone. I'll give you this. Okay. Kevan Shira'u at Shel Notzachem. When they saw that Israel was victorious, Shalokim in Hagalom. But unlike normal warfare, in other words, they only had 3 million. They went against 2 kings who were giants in their own right and who had kingdoms that they should never have been able to beat. Clearly, they went against the odds. So Amru Manhigim Shal Elu Midyan Nikadel. So they said that the way the conducting of these Midianites is they were grandized. So Nishal Mahu Mamidato. And they Mehem Mahu Midato. So they asked from them, what is their midah? What is their character trait? How do they win? So Amru Lehem. So the Midianites told the Moabites, En Kocho El Bepiv. The Jews' power is not their power is only in their mouth. In other words, prayer. Amru, and they said, Af anu navalem ba'adam shekocho bepiv. So if that's the case, we Moabites will come upon the Jews with a person whose power is in his mouth. In other words, it was an interesting thing that the nation Midian recognized about Bnei Israel. Now the Midrash says that Moshe, if I remember correctly, Moshe was the king of the Midianites for a little while, so they knew Moshe and his ways. So they knew that he would daven, and that's what they're talking about.
Where does Rashi draw this from? What, a Gemara or a Midrash or something like that?
Tanchuma. The Tanchuma. Yeah, that's where Rashi is getting from. So again, Rashi hardly ever says anything on his own. The one place I know he does say it on his own is when it's describing the belt, the apron for the the Kohen Gadol's dress. When he says it's like the apron that the women wear when they ride side saddle. He's talking in his day. So at that point he's giving an example based upon that when he uses French terms. But normally when he's bringing anything down like this, he has a source, maybe the Midrash, the Gemara.
Basically what he's done for the reader is, again, he's assuming that people have a lot of background.
Actually not.
Really?
Assuming they have no background.
He's pulling all these sources together and making it convenient, in other words.
Making it, and going with Pshat. But he said this is the simplest way to understand what's going on. Okay. So he said, if you're reading this, these should be your problems. Why would they go why would Moab come to Midian when their enemies? Why would they come? And what was the answer? And why did they get Bilaam? What's going on? He's giving you the background based upon everybody. So he's bringing it down. He wrote them in notebooks. That's why they call him Kuntras, because he wrote everything in notebooks. And so, but that's what it was. He made it for the person who wasn't. He didn't have the knowledge.
He wasn't aware of these sources per se.
No, right.
But you want to learn Chumash, you read my notes. I did it for you.
Right. Basically, he wasn't that arrogant, but yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Right. There were other rabbis who were that arrogant. At least they came out. You know what? I'll tell you the truth. It really is not true what I've said. The Rambam in his Mishnah Torah, the introduction to the Mishnah Torah, he's quoted for this, and he's really actually misquoted, because what he said was, and this is his words, if you have a Tanakh and you have the Tanakh, I think he said the Talmud and my book, or the Tanakh and my book, that's all you need. The Mishnah Torah, that's all you need, and you can be a good Jew. That's so he's saying that was it. They took it out of context, because he says in his whole introduction, a very long introduction to Mishnah Torah, but he said that people, really you should go Mishnah, Gemara, Rosh, and so, he starts quoting the people that you should go through, and he said, but since people don't have the time to do that, I've done the work for you, so all you have to do is do Tanakh and my book, and that's enough. So people forgot the beginning, they misquoted him, said he's an arrogant guy for that, and went on to burn his books. So, it all depends on what people like to read. But Rashi never said that. Rashi, his claim is, I only come to give pshat. I'm only coming to give the simple explanation. I don't want to give drushes. I don't want to get into that's enough. You have enough rabbis out there who are doing that. People got too far away from the text as a result, because they gave drasha after drasha after drasha. You want to get any rabbi who's looking at this today is going today in 2017. If they speak about these pesukim, they will speak about the Palestinian and what's going on in the world, and they'll drush it out to be the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and blah 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 blah. Okay, instead of just going to the text and saying, what is the text saying? What can we learn from the text? Why did Hashem write the text for us? In other words, why do we have to care about these guys? Why do we have to care about Bilaam, Balak, and so on and so forth? That's not pshat anymore, by the way. That's already getting to drush. But pshat is, I have to understand the story. So then if I can go from the straight understanding of a story, now I can start developing and saying, okay, so they knew the powers of prayer, which is, again, you can go on a whole hour just on that. In other words, every one of these I can go for an hour easily, and to say, the power of prayer and so on, and develop the power of prayer, or the other way. And these guys, Bilaam, who had that power of prayer, how could he fall so far? Here you're talking to God, as it were. You're having this ability to communicate, to know when Hashem is angry, as the Gemara says, and you're turning that into the negative. Why would you do that? You have a connection. Why wouldn't you use it to the positive? And so now and again, here's the drasha part. See, now even when you have the goy who knows how to tap in, he still does it bad because his nature is bad. That would be the drasha. I don't want to go with the drasha. The drasha is an interesting drasha. I know how people say that, but it's not. We all have free will. We all have free will, so everybody has free will, so we have to decide which part of the fence do we want to jump into. So what's our natural desire? So here again, you have the split. Bnei Yisrael is supposed to be Bnei Rachmanim, sons of compassionate people, while the non-Jew is the sons of Bnei Esau, Bnei Yishmael, which they weren't compassionate. They weren't. So that's their upbringing. And can you beat your programming? That's the question. Can you beat your programming? That would be an interesting Sunday lecture. Can you beat your programming? We've done it 1,000 times, but different names. But that is that's really the topic. So now what happens? So again, Vayomer Moab el Zikne Midian. Again, just repeating that. So Moab spoke to the elders of Midian. Ata, now. And here's what they said. Yelachachu hakahal et kol sivivitenu. Now the congregation, the Jews, that's what they're referring to, will lick up our entire surroundings, kilachoch hashor, like an ox licks at yerka sadeh, the vegetables or the greenery of the field. That's what they said. That was the claim. Balak ben Zippor melech of Moab bedahi. And Balak, the son of Zippor, was the king of Moab at that time. So what are they saying? Rashi is bothered by that. Why are you saying that they are like the lick of the ox? So it says, Ma kol masha shor malachech in bosim and bracha. Anything that the ox is going to lick, it does not have a siman bracha, a mark of a blessing. So here again, what they're releasing is they're going to ruin our resources. It's a simple thing. They're going to ruin our resources. Again, even if they do nothing to us, they just walk through. There's 2 million people or 3 million people walking through and destroying our place. And then was say that he was the king at that time. Lo haya roy the malchut. He wasn't even fit to be king. He was actually from the Midianite side. But when Sichon died, when he was killed by the Jewish people, so they appointed him over them. Here, think about this. The Moabites appointed a Midianite over them. Here they're enemies. But that's also why they could go back to Midian, because their guy is running the show in Moab. Really, they won the war without fighting. If you think about it, it's a logical thing. Here, because otherwise, the Midianite, Moab, and Balak, why are you going to your enemy? Okay, so you know that your enemies, again, you're enemies of each other. You know that you're both fighting the common enemy. Fine. You want to make it détente, but why are you trusting them? If they're your enemy, you don't trust your enemy. How many times does America trust Russia? And all the times that we've had the Cold War, the war, and so on and so forth, there's still spies. We don't even trust our allies. Yeah. We have. Oh, look, okay, just have to come back. Okay, so.
It took me 5 hours.
Okay.
Half a day with my relatives.
Okay. No. So sit down and we'll learn. Okay, tell you. Okay, Vayishlach Malachim. So now what happens is they sent messengers, not Malachim, not angels, messengers. El Bilaam ben Beor, to Bilaam the son of Beor, Torah, now here's, what does it mean? Does it mean to Petor? Because it's, is that name place? Or as Rashi says, it's like a Shulchani Hazeh, it's like a person who sits at his table, or a money changer. Everybody comes to him who wants to change the money. So all these kings would send their letters to him. That's one thing. So he could be like a person sitting, waiting for you to bring business, right? It's like when you open a store. There's 2 ways to run a store, right? 2 ways to run a store. One is you sit, you open the store, open for business, you sit at your desk, and wait for everybody to come in. Okay, that's it. The other way is to open the store, go out and try to actively get customers. So he was the first case where he opened the store, anybody who wanted to come, he had a nice reputation, and they could come in and they could do it. Fine. That's why, but simple explanation is, it was the name of the place, Bator. Ashir al Nahar, Eretz b'nei Amon likrolo, by the river of the river of the land. How does he say it? By the river of the land of the members of his people. Okay, fine. So then he says, Lemor to call him Lemor to say and saying, quote, Hine am yatzam Mitzrayim. Behold, a nation went out from Mitzrayim. Not Hashem took them out, but the nation went out on their own from Mitzrayim. And now they are, and behold, it is covering the eye of the earth, or the surface of the earth. Vu Yoshev Mamuli, and he, or it, the nation, is sitting opposite me. So Rashi explains, Eretz B'nei Amo, right? So the nation of the land of his people shall Balak. Why? Mishamaya, he was from that place. Okay, fine. And that's why he was prophesying, V'yomer lo atid atalim loch. And what he was told was, in the future, you will be the king. He told Balak. Bilaam told Balak, you will be the king. And this is what we said before, the introduction. Rashi says, why did Hashem cause his divine presence to land on, to rest upon a wicked goy? So the nation should not have a way to open their mouth to say, if we would have had prophets like the Jews do, we would have done teshuvah. God caused them to have neviim parts to get a hold. And not only didn't they do teshuvah, they brought in illicit relations. In the end of the parsha, Bilaam is going to give advice to Balak and his people. You want to get the Jews? Make them have illicit relations. God does not like irva. He doesn't like nakedness. He doesn't like that. So if you get them involved in that, then you'll be able to curse them. And imagine this, that Balak was so afraid and hated him so much that even though this guy couldn't get a curse across, he still believes him. There's so much hatred there was. So, and then it says, right? Originally, they made fences around the arayot, again, the forbidden relations. But then not to them there's note. And this guy comes and says, no, be mafkir yourself, send your daughters out, let them have relations with the Jews, no problem. That's how God's going to come to them. So Kriya, when he called him, Kriya hayit shelo lahanoto, they were calling him for himself and to give him benefit, because they said, we're going to give you a lot of money. And then it says, the nation went out from Mitzrayim. And so he said, and if you're going to ask, so what's the problem? They came up from Mitzrayim. They're covering the face of the earth. And Sichon Og, who were guarding us, Amdu Aleim Behargum, they were standing, and they stood over them and they killed them. And now he's standing over me. I'm afraid we're going to die too. So he's going to ask him to curse him. Bilaam's going to try, like he said 3 times. I'll have to stop here. He's going to try 3 times, and thus we get the famous Matova Alach Yaakov.